$1.98 and energy just hit $1.98 in a couple of states. It's way down. You have gasoline that hit $1.98 yesterday in a couple of states. Gasoline yesterday in 3 states hit $1.98 a gallon.
When you look at gas now at $3.18 a gallon. But since Inauguration Day, they're actually up. Gas prices since Election Day up 2.6%, since Inauguration Day up 2%. When are those gas prices going to start to come down?
Oh, I think you'll see it. You'll see it. There's a supply chain lag of oil going in and refined products. Also, we've seen some growth in gasoline demand. You know, as people drive more and travel more, that the demand pushes it up. But I think you'll see gasoline prices drift down in the next few months, and you might see oil drift the other way.
Interesting.
Oh, that's gotta hurt!
But look at that. It appears that Fox News aren't completely buying the snake oil that Trump is selling. And if that isn't indicative of how bad things are going, then nothing is.
It is the worst first 100 days for a president in 70 years.
That's not true.
And it's objectively true, actually.
No, it's not objectively true. Isn't indicative of how bad things are going, then nothing is.
It is the worst first 100 days for a president in 70 years.
That's not true.
And it's objectively true, actually.
No, it's not objectively true.
And we can't interrupt when we're in... No, it's based on the data on approval rating. That's what it's based on. The approval ratings for all of the presidents, and his being the lowest.
As a president...
No, it's based on the data on approval rating. That's what it's based on. The approval ratings for all of the presidents, and his being the lowest.
We're here tonight in the heartland of our nation to celebrate the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country, and that's according to many, many people.
It is the worst first 100 days for a president in 70 years.
That's not true.
And it's objectively true, actually.
No, it's not objectively true.
And we can't interrupt when we're in... No, it's based on the data on approval rating. That's what it's based on.
Them goddamn truckers are fucking around and finding out. Because 90+% of them voted for Trump. 90-something% of these truckers voted for Donald Trump. After Donald Trump was 100% clear about what it is he was going to do. Here's the thing. I know the profile of these damn truckers. All right, we got black truckers. We got white truckers. All right. Truckers are usually people who, you know, they may not, you know, had anything, they had no special talent to do many other things, right? Or maybe they didn't have no opportunity to do too much of anything, right? Fell between the cracks. But then they got an offer to get their CDL and they can drive because it was promised that shit. Things were always going to be moving in America.
Shalom, shalom, all praises and glory goes to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash, double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, citations unto the elect men feeding the sheep of Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, in sincerity and truth with this great gospel coming out of our Bible. And very soon all hell is about to break loose. All hell is about to break loose in this society, right? Because you already see Satan's house is definitely divided. Right, definitely divided, right? When you got people on Fox News arguing with each other, right? About who? Their Republican leaders, right? When you got people who voted for DJT and now they're finding out that this man has no plans for their benefits, right? You see how many different companies have been shut down, right? They just had a bank get shut down, right? Everything points to a collapse, right? He's not here to fix this system. He's here to, well, they say they're going to burn it down and set up a new one. Matter of fact, let's get this verse. I'm going to go to the book of Mark 3, and we're going to start. We're going to start at verse 24. It says, "And if a kingdom be divided against itself, that kingdom cannot stand." And one thing we know about this kingdom is definitely divided against itself, right? They set up this two-party system, right, to keep these people divided, right? To keep these people from not coming together and plotting against who the elites, right? They know what they're doing. Right? And through this system, then overtook the minds of these people. They really done trusted in their democracy. They really done trusted in their republicanism. And here they're finding out that, man, loss of jobs, right? Collapse of a currency, right? The future that they was looking for some George Jetson type bullshit, flying cars, right? But what kind of future are they going to look at? What kind of future is coming? A future of war, a future of civil unrest, uproars of the people, right? You have these people. They just had a movie called about motherfucking American, all hell breaking loose in America a year ago. And what happened? They clapped the president in the movie, right? They clapped the president, and who they had Jegs do it too. It was through the Spirit. It says, and if a kingdom be divided against itself, the kingdom cannot stand. And if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand, right? And this house is divided against itself, right? These people no longer have trust in their political leaders, right? They no longer have trust in their government officials, in their mayors, and their politicians, and the people that they voted in, right? It says, and we know that you're not elected, you're selected. It says, and if a house be divided against itself, that house cannot stand. And if Satan rise up against himself and be divided, he cannot stand, but have what? An end. So what are we looking at? We're looking at the end of Satan's society, right? An end of Satan's society. Hell is coming, right? Death, misery, suffering, tribulations, right? That's why the scripture says, except those days be short, and there shall no flesh be saved, right? The Lord's about to judge wicked men on this earth, and right, and who's controlling these leaders, right? It's the Lord who controls these rulers of this society, right? The Lord's putting these thoughts in these leaders' minds to what? Fight, to have war. I'm gonna go to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, bear with me. So I'm going to go to Ecclesiasticus 33, and we're going to start at verse, let's start at verse 10. It says, and all men are made from the ground, and Adam was created of the earth. It says, in much knowledge the Lord have divided them, and made their ways diverse. Some of them have he blessed and exalted, and some of them he sanctified and set near himself. But some of them have he cursed and brought low, and turned out their places. As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. Right? We're in the times right now is what? Good versus evil. Is the righteous elect, right, against this wicked society. Right? And what people are waking up out of this wicked world, because they know this world has nothing to benefit them. Right? There's nothing good in this society but this gospel. Right? That's the only light shining in this place of darkness. Right? You got a lot of people, they still think that their jobs is gonna save them. When look at them like truck drivers. It's a lot of dudes thought, man, I'm gonna be a truck driver and I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna be a school teacher, a doctor, and retire. And what happened, man? You got fired. You got laid up. You got laid off. Right? And a lot of these people, they weren't preparing for these times because they didn't really believe these times would ever come. Right? They didn't never believe these times would ever come. It says, as the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best. And what's the Lord putting in the thoughts of men? War. Right? Everything's pointing to what? Conflict. Right? One nation against another. Right? People rising up against their political leaders. Right? Family members turning on each other. Right? Why? Because there's going to be a lack of resources. The Lord's about to bring a famine in this society. Right? Matter of fact, bear with me. It's the book of Matthew 24, verse 21. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. Right? It's going to be great tribulation. Right? The scriptures speak about friends fighting like enemies. Right? And we just spoke about a house being divided. Right? These people are definitely divided against each other. And wait till there's no more food. There's no more running water. There's no more jobs when the doors are shut in the streets. Right, when the sound of the grinding is low, what's the only thing left? It's going to be robberies, it's going to be killings, it's going to be death. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. All right, because everything points to what? Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble, right? The Lord's about to turn it up on you Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And DJT's about to give these devils the green light. Right? He's about to, you already see them through the military down to protect the border. Right? He's giving the police the green light to deal aggressively with you ninjas. Right? He's also talking about sending people, Americans, to what? Other countries to do prison time. Right? This man ain't fucking around. But Jake think it's a fucking joke. I'm gonna read that again. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days should be shortened. Shall be shortened. This is the book of Revelation 11 and 14. It says, the second woe is past, and behold, third woe cometh quickly. The third woe cometh quickly. At the same time, you got all this tribulation happening on the earth. What else is going to be going down? War between these different countries. Right? Like we said, these tariff trade wars is going to lead to what? A physical war. It's going to lead to a physical war, right? You already see China making moves with their ships, right? Russia making pacts, right, making friends around the world while America is being cut off from the world. Right? That's what you got going on right now. America is being cut off from the world, right? You got the BRIC nations, they're getting bigger. You got more nations leaving the UN, right? NATO, they leaving that pack, man. So what's happening? Right? This man is being exposed for being the wicked. Right? What else? This dude was talking that smooth talk to put you people to sleep. Right? That's what these political leaders do. And before they get put in that office, they tell you lies. Right? The scripture said they are forgers of lies, physicians of no value. Right? Here's Psalms 55 and 21. It says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. Right? But war was in his heart, right? His words were softer than oil, yet they were drawn swords. Right? The only thing on this man's mind is war with Iran, war with China, war with Russia. Right? Now he's thinking about war with the Canada, damn near. War with any country that don't go along with what he wants. Right? Because this man has been exalted in his mind. It says the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet they were what? Drawn swords. And if you can't see what this man is plotting, what the elites are plotting, it's because the Lord have shut your eyes. Right? The Lord has blinded you to the point where you're gonna collapse when this system collapses. Right? You're gonna be destroyed in the future, in the times to come. Right? Because in the times to come, if you don't have Yahweh Shem Yahushai, guess what? You are in big trouble. Shalom.